She was one of the most respected cops in her district, tough, fearless, and known for her heart. For 12 years, she served her community with nothing but honor, until one tragic night flipped her entire world upside down. In just a matter of hours, she went from hero to convicted criminal. And within months, she was sitting on death row, with a sentence no one could believe was real. But this story isn't just about her. It's about Max, her German Shepherd, her best friend, her loyal partner who stood by her through everything. When she was taken away, Max was left behind, caged, alone, forgotten, or so everyone thought. Because what this dog did after her execution stunned the entire country. People started noticing strange things. A dog watching someone's house, another spotted at a graveyard. Then came the attacks. And when the security cameras were checked, it was him, Max. But why? What made this calm, obedient German Shepherd go rogue after her death? Was it grief, revenge, or something much deeper, something no one saw coming? Stay with me, because this story is going to challenge everything you think you know, about loyalty, about justice, and about what a dog's love is truly capable of. Her name was Officer Rachel Monroe. To the people in her small city, she wasn't just a cop, she was the cop. The one who remembered your name, who showed up to every school assembly, who sat on the curb next to crying kids just to calm them down. If you needed help, she was the one you hoped would show up. She didn't wear the badge for power. She wore it for purpose. Rachel wasn't married. She had no children. Her only family, and the one she loved more than anything in the world, was Max. A massive, disciplined, fiercely loyal German Shepherd she trained herself during her early years on the force. He wasn't just her K-9 unit partner, he was her shadow. On patrol, during arrests, even when she took a rare day off, Max was there. Watching her, guarding her, loving her. Locals would joke that Max could sniff out a lie better than any polygraph machine. But behind the smiles, Rachel carried something heavier. A past she didn't talk about much. A younger brother lost to gun violence. Sleepless nights from calls that went too far. The kind of pain most officers never show, but always feel. Still, she showed up, every day. Rain, snow, holidays, didn't matter. She believed in the law. She believed in doing the right thing. But here's the thing about doing the right thing in a system full of wrong. Sometimes, it turns you into the target. And slowly, quietly, Rachel's story began to change. Because the same streets she once protected would soon become the reason she'd never walk free again. And it all started with a call. Just one call. A cry for help that led to a moment no one could take back, and a decision that would cost her everything. It was a quiet Thursday night. Almost too quiet. Rachel had just wrapped her shift when the call came in, possible home invasion. Suspect armed. Children in the house. She didn't wait for backup. She never did when kids were involved. Max was already in the passenger seat, alert, ears perked up. He could feel the tension. Rachel always said he could smell fear before it even entered the room. They arrived within minutes. The house was dark. No lights, no noise. Just a cracked front door swinging gently in the wind. Rachel approached slowly, gun drawn, Max by her side. Her body cam had trouble connecting. Typical tech issues, nothing unusual, or so it seemed. And then, chaos. A figure burst through the hallway. Fast. No ID. No warning. Rachel shouted for them to stop. Once. Twice. No response. A single shot echoed in the night. And just like that, everything changed. The man who was shot, Devin Marks, was unarmed. A father of two. In the wrong place at the wrong time, or so the media said. The body cam glitched. Footage corrupted. And Rachel? Under arrest within 48 hours. The department called it a tragedy. The media called it execution. Protesters called it murder. And no one wanted to hear her side. Not the press. Not the public. Not even her own precinct. But Max, he knew. He had seen it all. He never left her side during the interrogation. His eyes fixed on hers, not afraid, not angry. Just waiting. The trial began exactly 3 months after the shooting. What was once a quiet story in a local town had exploded into national news. Cop kills unarmed black father. Bodycam failure or convenient glitch. Justice must be served. The courtroom was packed. Protesters outside. Cameras everywhere. People wanted a villain, and they chose Rachel. The prosecution painted a picture of reckless force. They said she acted too fast. They said she assumed a threat because of race. They said Max's reaction was unclear, as if even the dog's loyalty was now on trial. But Rachel held firm. Tearful, yes. Shaken, absolutely. But she never changed her story. The man had lunged from the shadows. His hands were hidden. She gave 2 warnings. And she pulled the trigger to protect herself, and possibly those kids. There were no fingerprints. No weapons. Only a dead father, and a broken family. Her lawyer tried to argue stress, poor lighting, faulty equipment. But the jury? They weren't hearing logic. They were seeing headlines. Day after day, Max came to court. Sat beside Rachel's lawyer. Never barked. Never moved. Just watched. Some laughed at it. Others said it was creepy. But one reporter called it something else. The quiet protest of a dog who knew the truth. Max never missed a day. Not one. And on the final day, when the sentence was read, guilty. Death by lethal injection. Rachel didn't cry. She just looked at Max. One last time. He tilted his head, like he didn't understand. But maybe he did. Because after that day, everything changed. They thought the story ended there. A tragic mistake. A fallen hero. Case closed. But Max had other plans, and what he did next would leave an entire nation speechless. And as Rachel sat in court fighting for her life, Max sat outside those cold courthouse doors, waiting for a verdict that would break both their hearts. Rachel spent her final days in a cold, gray cell, isolated, silenced, and forgotten by the system she once served. The same department that used to praise her, never spoke her name again. No retrial. No mercy. No second chances. She wrote one letter, addressed to M. No one knew who that was. But we do now. Max had been taken by animal control shortly after her conviction. Standard protocol. Dangerous K9. No handler. No future. He refused to eat for days. Refused to play. Refused to connect with anyone. Shelter workers said it was like watching a soldier mourn. On the morning of her execution, something strange happened. Max stood up in his kennel and howled. Loud, deep, painful. A sound no one had ever heard from him before. He howled for 6 full minutes. And then he sat, perfectly still. At 6:15 a.m., Rachel Monroe was executed by lethal injection. Her last words weren't recorded, but a guard later claimed she whispered into the air, "Wait for me." And she smiled. There was no family to collect her things, no friends at the gate, just a folded uniform, a dog tag, and one note tucked under her pillow with a single sentence. "Tell Max, he's free now." Max never heard those words, but he felt them, because that same night, he disappeared. Vanished from a secure, city-run kennel with 10-foot fencing, double locks, and 24-hour surveillance. No signs of escape. No one saw him go. But 2 days later, he was seen, standing alone, outside the courthouse where Rachel was convicted. And from that day forward, Max stopped being just a dog. He became something else. Something unstoppable. Something no one saw coming. At first, people thought it was just coincidence. A German shepherd spotted outside the county courthouse, standing still as stone in the rain. No collar. No leash. Just staring at the building, like he was waiting for someone to come out. The guards tried to chase him off, but he came back the next day. And the next. Then someone recognized him. That's Rachel Monroe's dog, that's Max. The same dog who had disappeared without a trace. Animal control tried to catch him again. They failed. Max was faster. Smarter. Like he knew exactly where the traps were. Like he'd been trained to avoid them. He was spotted again, this time at the home of the lead detective in Rachel's case, sitting silently on the sidewalk. Eyes locked on the front door. No growl. No bark. Just watching. 3 days later, that detective was hospitalized after a mysterious fall down the stairs. No evidence of a break-in. No forced entry. Just fear in his eyes and silence on his lips. Then came the second sighting, the courtroom stenographer who claimed to have misheard the key piece of evidence. Max appeared outside her office. She quit her job the next day. No explanation. Moved 2 states away. And then a third sighting, outside the home of the prosecutor himself. CCTV caught Max pacing back and forth, waiting. People started talking. Online forums lit up. Is this dog going after the people who put Rachel to death? Is Max taking revenge? But here's the thing, Max never attacked. He didn't bite, didn't growl, didn't chase. He just appeared. And after each visit, someone cracked, someone confessed, or vanished, or ran. And when the truth finally came out, it wasn't just shocking. It was horrifying. Because Max wasn't trying to hurt anyone, he was trying to reveal what Rachel died hiding. By now, Max was no longer just a dog. He was a symbol, a shadow, a legend in the making. The media called him the Ghost Shepherd. The internet nicknamed him the Avenger. But what he did next, no one could explain. Security footage from outside the prosecutor's home showed Max digging. Not aimlessly, with purpose. Like he knew what he was looking for. And after 2 nights of digging in the same spot, a rusted metal box was found. Inside, a flash drive, encrypted, hidden for years. It was eventually handed over to an independent journalist, someone who had been following Rachel's story since day one. She got the drive cracked. What was on it changed everything. Dozens of emails, internal memos, suppressed evidence. A report proving that the original 911 call Rachel responded to was fake, fabricated, a setup. And worse, body cam footage. Untouched, unedited. From a backup source Rachel had secretly installed in Max's collar during their final months on patrol. In the footage, you could see it all. Rachel entering the house. Rachel giving warnings. And the man, Devin Marks, not unarmed, but holding a weapon. A weapon that mysteriously disappeared from the crime scene. And standing behind him, a shadowy figure. The lead detective, whispering something just before the shot was fired. It was a setup. Rachel had been framed. And Max had known all along. He wasn't seeking revenge. He was uncovering truth, piece by piece, person by person. Every location he visited, every person he stared down, they were part of the cover-up. Rachel had trained him to detect guilt, to remember faces, to signal danger. She'd given Max one final command, whispered through the prison fence. And he followed it, not out of anger, not out of instinct, out of love. And when the world finally saw what Max had been trying to say all along, it begged the question, who really delivered justice? The courts? Or a loyal dog with nothing left to lose? Once the footage hit the public, it was like someone dropped a match in a room full of gasoline. News channels flipped, social media exploded, and the question echoed everywhere. Did we just execute an innocent woman? The footage from Max's collar clearly showed what Rachel had been claiming all along. She warned the suspect, followed protocol, and only fired when her life was in danger. But there was more. Rewinding the audio, analysts discovered background voices. 2 of them. One was the lead detective, the man who first testified against Rachel. The other, the prosecutor, the same one who had pushed for the death penalty with eerie urgency. The voices weren't just talking, they were planning. Turns out, Devin Marks wasn't just a random father. He was a whistleblower. He had dirt on corrupt officials, and he was trying to pass it to Rachel. That home invasion call. It was bait. Rachel walked into a trap, and when she defended herself, they used it to silence her, permanently. But they forgot one thing. Max was watching, because Rachel had trained him not just as a partner, but as a backup recorder. A fail-safe. She never fully trusted the system, not after what she'd seen on the job. And Max? He was her insurance. The evidence cracked the case wide open. The detective resigned. The prosecutor vanished. And Rachel Monroe was posthumously declared innocent. But it was too late. They couldn't bring her back. The only one who had stayed loyal was the dog they left behind. Max. He wasn't seen again after the footage aired. Some say he disappeared into the woods. Others claim they still see him at Rachel's grave, sitting quietly, like he's still guarding her. But the question that still haunts everyone isn't what Max did, it's why he did it. And what it says about us, about justice, and about the purest form of loyalty this world has ever known. In the end, this wasn't just a story about a fallen cop, or a cover-up, or a loyal dog who did the unthinkable. This was a story about truth, and the brutal cost of silence. Rachel Monroe gave her life to protect people. Not perfectly, not without flaws, but with heart, with courage, with loyalty that never wavered, the same loyalty that lived on in Max. And when the system failed her, when everyone turned their backs, when the world called her a monster, he didn't. He waited. He watched. And when the time was right, he acted. Not with violence, Not with rage, but with purpose. Max didn't break the law. He exposed the ones who already had. And he did it without saying a single word. Think about that. A dog did what no lawyer, no journalist, no police chief was willing to do. He told the truth. So what does that say about us? About justice? About the way we treat those who can't defend themselves? Some say Max was just following training. Others say it was grief. Some call it divine. Others call it instinct. But maybe, just maybe, it was love. The kind of love that doesn't fade when the leash comes off. The kind that knows no limits, not time, not distance, not death. Max didn't get a medal. He didn't want one. He didn't need it. All he wanted was for her name to be cleared. And he did it. So the next time someone says, "It's just a dog," you remember Max. Because some dogs don't just protect us, they carry the truth we're too afraid to face. And sometimes, that's all the justice the world needs.